Next, we have Wendy Brand. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you. There are three sides here, all thinking that we're fighting each other for the good of the children. What the children really need is to see what adults should be doing by uniting, conversing, perhaps even breaking bread together, and civilly discussing how to best serve the children. With open discussions outside of here and the school board members actively discussing and participating. This isn't a battle between three sides. It's a battle between two, good and evil. If the board acts with the liberal side alone, we could all lose. If the board stands with the conservative side alone, we could all lose. A two-legged stool can't stand on its own. The board should be standing with both sides and leaving politics and the one-sided, agenda-driven funding out of this. They don't belong in a local school. That appears to leave all of you, the board, whose intentions may be good, against those you were elected to represent, leaving your hands tied, whether you know it or not. A person bound is a prisoner, even if they are able to roam free. Our struggles here are not against one another. However, we do have a common enemy, and he is hard at work. The only solution to these current dilemmas is to all sit down together as responsible and wise adults and have an actual focused discussion on the children, readdressing questions such as what is the role of the parents, what are of the school and the board in children's public education, not what does the government want to teach our children, and that's all that matters. This is a local school with plenty of what it needs to run a great school system meant to bring up responsible adults who can be productive members of a healthy community. Liberals might feel, though, that conservatives are the enemy, and conservatives might feel as though liberals are the enemy. The board might feel as though they have three opponents, liberals, conservatives, and the government, who appear not to care about any side but their own. That's the government. We're doing things from a divided place, a judgmental place, a blind place, a broken place. And this kind of place will not prevail and will ultimately be in rubble, leaving the children with nothing. Either way, it takes us back to square one. Perhaps that's where we should go. Let's go back to the board, the drawing board. Let's be kind, caring, and responsible adults for the children. In order for this stool to stand with strength, we need all three legs to be strong. It's not a you, us, or them. We all want what's best for the children, and we all think we know what's best for them. And somewhere in the middle lies the truth, which we need to come together and find for the children. If we desire to be good role models for them, then we are supposed to avoid strife. Ancient scripture says, where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. Will all of us, be better role models? I invite you all to sit down to a meal together. Let's pick a time, a location. We could do potluck style, get a neutral mediator, and have a real discussion. Who'll join me?
Thank you. Okay, I don't have anybody else listed after Ms. Brand, but I know several of you came in after the list was given to me. So before we move on in the agenda, is there anybody else who would like to address the board in the audience tonight? Yes, ma'am. Please.
Hi, this is my first meeting here, so please
Welcome. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Suma Charakuri. I'm a mother of a second grader at Midland Woodcrest Elementary. My concern here today is I'm actually an adult psychiatrist by profession, so mental health is a big concern for me. And one of the concerns also is how mental health interacts with school safety, and which comes to my next statement is I did talk to a parent of a child from whose children were in the Auburn school system, and I found out that their level of security at their front doors was very different from ours. And this made me quite upset because I had this assumption, and I'm going to talk about things that probably upset people, but you know, we talk about Parkland and Uvalde and Sandy Hook, and in each of these cases, things were done within 4 to 10 minutes, okay? And I know every parent here cares about their child from whatever background you're coming from. So my concern would be, are we doing everything we can? And I'm naive and open to learn for our school system and our children and our staff, because I really do believe education is an amazing place. And I think that We have so much to offer for a big nerd in the school system. I mean, this is an amazing school system. I have to say that. And the biggest question I have was I did reach out to Mr. Shera's office, and Mr. Shera was kind enough to communicate with me about how the recommendations for the front door systems are based off of safety experts and their best practices. But my concern would be, are these best practices, when I called the elementary, middle school, and high school of all the Bullock Creek schools, all the schools in Auburn, and I found out different practices. There's practices that are actually stricter than ours, which actually kind of got me worried because I thought we were all in the same boat. I understand there's going to be a vote soon about maybe some type of weapon detection, metal detection that's coming up. That's what I read in the newspaper. But my concern would be, I know that school violence and shootings and things like that are low risk, but after they happen, everybody feels and questions and looks back. So the biggest things I've seen is, are we completely communicating with law enforcement regarding any miscommunication that could occur? Are we looking at predictable warning signs of violence that is often committed by students? And we have a great platform. Kindness, correct, is the main theme of Midland Public Schools, which I think is awesome, okay? That's really impressive for someone who's in psychiatry and looking at mindfulness concepts. But the thing I want to understand is, are we looking at everything? Are our staff being properly trained? I don't know these things. That's my question to the board. I understand we can't have an impenetrable fortress, but I want to make sure we have a school system where we're doing everything. And I want to know that my child is safe, that your children are safe, that our teachers are safe. And I just want to make sure that, in medicine, we do evidence-based practice. We have to make recommendations based off of that. Schools have to do the same. So that's my question to the board.
Thank you.